The phone hits marble before anyone in the lobby sees it coming. 1 second it lives in Ardyn Vale's grip, the next it's spinning across the polished floor of Meridian Tower, screen side up, cracked at the corner, completely live. The sound it makes is sharp and cold. Like a gavel. Nobody moves. Soraya Keene moves. She pushes out from behind the front security console in 3 fast steps, drops into a clean crouch, and lifts the device before it can slide further across the stone. She turns it face up in her palm. The screen is still running. Not a call. Not a text. A corporate shareholder voting portal, Vale Dynamics, Board Resolution 11C, with a red countdown timer ticking in the top right corner. 43 minutes remaining. Have you ever worked yourself to the bone in a room full of people, and still been treated like you were invisible? Drop your answer in the comments right now. Because what Soraya does next with this phone is going to blow your mind. As you drop your comment, also tell us where you are tuning in from. Your country and city. I like connecting with you all. Stay with me as we continue, Soraya's eyes don't widen. They go still in a way that looks like calm but is something else entirely. Ardyn Vale is already at the elevator bank. 6'2", silver at the temples, dressed in a black suit that probably costs what Soraya brings home in 3 months. His leather portfolio swings from his left hand. He hasn't turned around once. He threw a single line over his shoulder before the doors opened, "Leave it, my assistant will get it," like the phone was a paper cup, not a live corporate device counting down to a decision worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Soraya sets the phone face up on the security console. She does not touch the screen. She does not scroll. She simply looks. She had tried to stop him 4 minutes ago. Quietly. His visitor clearance wasn't updated in the system and policy required it. She stepped into his path and said, "Sir, your clearance badge isn't," and he laughed. Not a short laugh. A full, carrying laugh, the kind a man produces when he wants an entire room to hear him dismiss someone. He looked at her once, top to bottom, took in the gray uniform and the laminated badge and the desk, and said 4 words, "I own the building." Then he walked past her close enough to send wind across her collar. 2 men in the lobby heard it. One looked away immediately. The other, a young analyst, early 20s, pressed blue tie, a tablet under his arm, is still standing exactly where he was. His thumb hovers above his phone screen. He hasn't pressed anything. He's watching Soraya instead. The lobby clock reads 2:17 p.m. Soraya folds both hands on the console surface and stares at the countdown on Ardyn Vale's phone. 42 minutes. Interesting timing, she says, to the marble, to the city outside the glass, to no one at all. But the way she says it doesn't sound like a comment. It sounds like a decision. He comes back 11 minutes later, and he comes back angry. Ardyn Vale pushes through the elevator doors at a pace that parts the lobby like a current. His jaw is locked. His eyes go straight to the security console, and when he finds the phone sitting exactly where it was left, something crosses his face that isn't relief. It's calculation. He crosses the floor in 8 strides and closes his hand around the device. Soraya doesn't step back. "You looked at this." He doesn't ask it. He announces it, the way a man announces weather, like the fact of it is already decided and the only remaining question is damage. "I confirmed the screen was active before setting it down," Soraya says. Standard protocol for found devices on the premises. Standard protocol. He repeats it slowly, turning the phrase over like he's studying something cheap. "Do you understand what is happening 40 floors above you right now? A shareholder vote. Resolution 11C closes at 3 o'clock. The lobby goes quiet in a way that has weight to it. The young analyst in the blue tie, his name is Terence Okafor, though no one has said that yet, has not moved from his position near the marble column. He is not pretending to scroll anymore. His phone is up, angled just slightly, screen catching light. Ardyn Vale's eyes sharpen. "Where did you read that?" "The portal was open on the screen when I picked it up," Soraya says. "I didn't need to read anything." He sets one hand flat on the console between them. The move is deliberate. It takes up space the way a wall takes up space. I have been structuring billion-dollar transactions for 22 years, he says, voice dropping to something slower and heavier. I have sat in front of the Securities and Exchange Commission. I have testified before a Senate subcommittee. I have not once, been stopped at a lobby desk. He pauses. Not by anyone who works here. You've been a tenant in this building for 6 years and 8 months, Soraya says. She says it the same way she says everything. No edge. No raise in volume. Just the flat, clean delivery of a fact that has been sitting somewhere patient and waiting. Ardyn Vale blinks. It is the first involuntary thing he has done since he walked in. What did you just say? Soraya reaches beneath the console and produces a visitor sign-in log. She slides it across the marble with 2 fingers. Your clearance still needs to be updated, Mr. Vale. It won't take long. Terence Okafor's phone screen reads, 312 viewers. And climbing. Her phone buzzes against her thigh at 2:29 p.m., and Soraya reads the message in a single second between Ardyn Vale disappearing back into the elevator and the lobby exhaling. Mama, dialysis moved to 5:30 today. Don't forget Darius has his interview at 4. Love you baby. She closes it. She closes messages like that the same way every time, no pause, no visible reaction, just a quiet shutting of a door that she will open again later, in private, where closing it actually costs something. Right now it costs nothing she can afford to show. Across the lobby, Terence Okafor has finally lowered his phone an inch. Not to stop. To reposition. His viewer count reads 478. The comments are already moving faster than anyone can follow, and one of them, from a user named at Detroit Nicole, just typed, wait. She said 6 years and 8 months. How does she know that exactly? Good question, Soraya would say, if she were the kind of woman who answered questions out loud. She looks instead at the far wall of the lobby. It is the wall she has looked at every working day for 4 years. 8 bronze plaques, each one recognizing a founding tenant of the building, mounted at eye level in a row between 2 potted trees. The 7th plaque reads, Elias Rowe, Meridian Holdings founding partner, visionary, advocate, friend. Her father died in March of 2019. She was 26. He died quietly, the way he did most things, in a hospital room at Cedars-Sinai with his daughter's hand in both of his and a half-finished crossword on the bedside table. He never told her how much any of it was worth. He told her instead to learn the building. To know every floor. Every lease. Every person who walked through the doors. Because the people who run things, he said, are always the ones who paid attention when no one thought they were watching. Soraya has been paying attention for 4 years. She knows that Ardyn Vale's connection to this building is not as simple as, I own the building. She knows that the ownership structure runs through a subsidiary. She knows what percentage sits where. Ardyn Vale walks back in at 2:44 p.m., and this time he brings a witness. The man behind him wears a building management lanyard and a pressed gray shirt. His name tag says Henderson, Facilities Director. He is a heavy-set man in his late 50s who moves carefully through the world, the way people move when they have spent a career trying not to be noticed making decisions. Vale doesn't introduce him. He positions him the way a man positions a prop, slightly behind, slightly to the right, present enough to signal authority. I need this employee's conduct reviewed, Vale says, his voice carrying to every corner of the lobby. She accessed a private corporate device, made unauthorized inquiries into proprietary company filings, and created a disruption during a material transaction window. Henderson shifts his weight. He has worked this building for 8 years. He knows Soraya Keene the way people know someone who has never once called in sick and has never once asked for anything extra. He looks at Vale, then at Soraya, then at the floor. He says nothing. Vale reads the room. The lobby has quietly filled, the way lobbies fill when something real is happening. 3 people near the elevator. 2 women from the 14th floor waiting for a cab outside the glass, now waiting for something else entirely. Terence Okafor, still at his column. His live stream reads 4,300 viewers. Vale turns to address all of them. His voice takes on the smooth, carrying weight of a man who has given keynote addresses on 5 continents. This is what happens when standards collapse. When the people responsible for maintaining a professional environment can't distinguish between basic job function and overreach. He faces Soraya directly. His voice drops to something slower. More private. More deliberate. Know your place. 3 words. He delivers them like punctuation. A period at the end of a sentence he considers finished. The lobby holds its breath. Henderson is looking at the marble floor like it contains a message he badly needs to read. Terence Okafor's hand is completely still. Soraya looks at Ardyn Vale for exactly 3 seconds. Her face doesn't change. Her hands don't move. Her breathing doesn't shift. Then she reaches into the inside breast pocket of her uniform jacket. Slowly. My place, she says. She removes something small. Sets it on the marble counter between them without a word. Henderson looks down at it. His face drains of every color it had. It is a building access credential. Not a security guard's card. Not a staff pass. A Tier 1 property owner credential, gold border, embossed seal, the kind the building's management company issues exclusively to controlling stakeholders of legal record. The kind that exists in a category most people in this lobby didn't know existed until this exact second. Henderson's mouth opens. Nothing comes out. Ardyn Vale looks at the card. Looks at Soraya. Looks at the card again. His mind is running fast, she can see it in his eyes, the quick internal sprint of a man trying to find a door in a room that just sealed shut. Elias Rowe, Soraya says. Calm. Level. Like reading an address off an envelope. My father. He held a 33% founding interest in Meridian Holdings at the time of his death. Per the operating agreement filed with the state of Delaware, that interest transferred in full to his surviving heir upon his passing. She pauses. That's me. That's, Vale starts. Delaware Certificate of Transfer. Filed March 4, 2020. Case number 2020 MH00341. I can pull the full document on this tablet, or you can access it directly through the building management portal. You have login credentials for that portal. You have had them for 6 years and 8 months. Silence. Real silence. Not the expensive, maintained silence of a corporate lobby. The other kind, the kind that arrives when a version of the world that everyone agreed on stops being true. Terence Okafor's live stream reads 8,400 viewers. The comments have stopped being funny. They have stopped being casual. They are reading, in real time, like a jury that just received new evidence mid-trial. Vale's legs make a small, involuntary shift. His hand finds the edge of the counter. You work the security desk, he says. His voice is quieter now. Confused in a way that sounds almost genuine. I chose to, Soraya says. Because my father built this building from the ground up and I wanted to know it the way he knew it, from the inside. Not from 40 floors above it. She glances at the clock. You have 16 minutes before that vote closes, she says. So before you tell me one more time where my place is, I think we need to talk about what I found in your maintenance records. Vale's portfolio drops from his hand. This time, nobody laughs. The portfolio is still on the floor when Soraya opens the management tablet. She doesn't ask anyone to pick it up. She doesn't look at Ardyn Vale's face, though she is aware, from the corner of her eye, that it has done something complicated and involuntary. She pulls up the building's compliance file archive the way someone pulls up a grocery list, practiced, calm, already knowing every item on it. Sublevel parking, ventilation system, she says. First maintenance flag, September 9, ticket submitted by the overnight facilities crew at 11:47 p.m. classification, non-urgent. Deferral authorization signed the following morning. That signature belongs to Henderson. Henderson's head comes up slowly. September 28. Second maintenance flag. The ventilation system has entered partial failure status. A Level 2 smoke accumulation risk has been logged automatically by the building's environmental sensors. A second ticket is submitted. Also deferred. This one was escalated to the facility's director's supervisor before authorization, meaning someone above Henderson saw it, approved the deferral, and moved on. The lobby has gone completely still. The two women who were waiting for a cab outside the glass are no longer waiting for a cab. They are inside now, standing near the door, not speaking. Terence Okafor's live stream reads 21,400 viewers. He has not moved from his spot at the column. His arm has not dropped once. October 14, Soraya continues. Fire alarm malfunction in sublevel parking. Smoke accumulation near the exit ramp. 3 members of the overnight cleaning crew were in the garage at the time. Marcus Webb, 54 years old. Denise Okonkwo, 39. And a third worker on probationary hire whose name was left out of the incident report entirely. His name is Raymond Castillo. He is 28 years old. He has a daughter in 2nd grade. The room absorbs this. I was first responder on scene. I used a dry chemical extinguisher to hold the smoke back long enough for all 3 of them to reach the stairwell. Emergency services arrived 6 minutes later. The internal incident report filed the next morning classified the event as minor. The ventilation failure was listed as resolved. Marcus Webb, Denise Okonkwo, and Raymond Castillo were not mentioned in the resolution documentation at all. They were invisible in the paperwork the same way they were invisible in this lobby. Vale opens his mouth. The cost reduction authorization, Soraya says, and Vale closes it. She pulls up the document and turns the tablet to face the room. Not to face Vale specifically. To face the room. To face the camera. To face the 21,000 people watching from wherever they are sitting right now. July 11, Vale Dynamics submits a Q3 facilities cost reduction protocol to building management as a condition of lease renewal. 41 infrastructure line items are reclassified from standard maintenance to deferred maintenance. The sublevel parking ventilation system is line item 23. The authorization to defer it is signed at the bottom in blue ink. She pauses. Ardyn Vale. Managing Partner and Founder. Vale Dynamics LLC. Silence. 27 formal HR complaints have been filed against Vale Dynamics employees in this building over 9 years. 83% of all terminated building-level staff under Vale Dynamics Management Authority were women or people of color. The Internal Diversity Fund allocated in your 2022 lease amendment, $400,000 earmarked annually for contractor equity programs, was redirected. $1,187,000, total. Redirected to general operating expenses over 3 years. Vale says, very quietly, I didn't know who you were. Soraya looks at him without blinking. That is exactly the problem, she says. You didn't know because you never looked. You saw a black woman behind a desk and you made every decision available to you on the back of that assumption alone. You decided she didn't matter. You decided the people she worked next to every night didn't matter. And you decided that the cost of their safety was a number you could move around a spreadsheet. She closes the tablet. This was never about one morning in a lobby. You have been running this pattern for 9 years. I have 14 months of documentation that says so. Vale's hand is shaking against the counter. Not from anger. From something worse than anger, the particular physical response of a person who has just watched the floor underneath their entire self-image give way. I submitted the full compliance file this morning, Soraya says. Before you walked through that door. It is already in the system. Already time-stamped. Already received. She lets that sit for exactly 4 seconds. Now. You have 3 options. 60 seconds. That is all she gives him. Not because she is being cruel. Because in her experience, when a man like Ardyn Vale is given more time than that, he does not use it to think. He uses it to recover. And she is not interested in his recovery. She is interested in his answer. Option 1, she says. You stand in front of that live stream and you speak. Not a statement. Not a release drafted by your legal team at $600 an hour. You. Your voice. You name Marcus Webb. You name Denise Okonkwo. You name Raymond Castillo. You acknowledge the deferred maintenance, the cost authorization you signed, and the 3 people who could have died in a garage you decided was too expensive to fix. You fund a building safety escrow, $2,300,000, the full retroactive cost of every deferred maintenance item in this building's history. That fund is administered by an independent oversight board, not by you, not by Henderson, and not by anyone on Vale Dynamics payroll. You keep your lease. We move forward. The lobby is not breathing. Terence Okafor's viewer count, 31,000. The hashtag trending in the comments has already shifted from the incident to something larger, people pulling old news stories, old building reports, old names. Option 2, Soraya continues. I invoke my controlling interest in Meridian Holdings and initiate a lease termination review under the building's materially unsafe conditions clause. Your legal team will confirm that your July cost reduction authorization has satisfied the threshold. That review is public record. Your Singapore vote passes today, congratulations, but 7 institutional shareholders received a copy of the ventilation failure report from the building's compliance portal at 9:41 this morning. They will have questions before the market closes. You will spend the rest of this quarter answering them instead of executing the acquisition. Vale's breathing has gone shallow. Option 3. I submit the full documentation package, every maintenance record, every authorization signature, every incident report discrepancy, every misallocated diversity fund transfer, to the California OSHA Investigative Unit. They have been waiting on a formal complainant filing to open a class-level inquiry into commercial building safety practices across this district. Marcus Webb and Denise Okonkwo have already been contacted by a worker advocacy organization. Raymond Castillo has a meeting with a labor attorney on Friday. If you choose option 3, that meeting becomes a deposition. She sets her hands flat on the counter. Still. Completely still. 60 seconds, Mr. Vale. The room waits. Terence Okafor does not move. Henderson does not move. The 2 women by the door do not move. 31,000 people on a live stream hold their screens closer. Ardyn Vale looks at Soraya Keene, really looks, the way he failed to look 4 hours ago, and for the first time since he walked into this building today, he has no performance ready. No keynote voice. No practiced authority. Just a man standing in a lobby he thought he owned, looking at a woman he thought he understood, realizing he understood nothing. I didn't know, he says again. I know you didn't, Soraya says. That's why we're here. He exhales. Slow. Long. The sound of something structural releasing. Option 1, he says. He picks up the visitor log she slid to him 40 minutes ago. He signs it. But Soraya is already looking at the clock, and what it shows makes something tighten across her chest that she has not let anyone see all day. The shareholder vote closes at 3:02 p.m. Resolution 11C passes. 71% approval. The Singapore acquisition moves forward. Vale Dynamics survives the afternoon intact, which is, in its own way, the most precise consequence Soraya could have engineered. Destruction would have been easy. Easy and loud and temporary. What she has built instead is harder. It requires him to stay, to be seen, to remain in the building where every single person now knows what he signed on July 11th. The apology happens at 3:17 p.m. Ardyn Vale stands in the center of the lobby, in front of Terence Okafor's phone, on a live stream that has reached 44,000 concurrent viewers. He does not have notes. He requested to prepare a written statement and Soraya said, if you need notes to tell the truth, the notes will sound like it. He speaks for 4 minutes and 11 seconds. He names Marcus Webb. He names Denise Okonkwo. He names Raymond Castillo. He says the date, July 11th, and he says what he signed and he says what it meant for 3 people working a night shift in a parking garage that never should have been unsafe. He does not use the word unintentional. He does not use the phrase to the best of my knowledge. His voice breaks once, on the word inexcusable, and he does not grab for composure. He lets it break. It is the most honest 4 minutes of his professional life, and every one of the 44,000 people watching can feel the difference. When he finishes, the lobby is quiet. Soraya speaks. "I forgive you," she says. But forgiveness is not the same as restoration. Forgiveness doesn't come with a key to what was already lost. What comes with forgiveness is the obligation to build something that was never there before. The Independent Safety Oversight Board is constituted 6 days later. The $2,300,000 maintenance escrow is signed into existence. Henderson resigns on a Monday morning, quietly, no press release, and is later reported to be teaching facilities management at a community college in the San Fernando Valley. Soraya is reinstated to her position. Not because she asked. Because 3 members of the building's management board, having watched 44,000 people watch a woman they terminated expose a failure she documented for 14 months, determined that budget tightening was no longer a story anyone would believe. Marcus Webb cries when he gets the call. He is sitting in his car in a Ralph's parking lot eating a sandwich for dinner because he is already back on the night shift at a different building across town. He cries and he doesn't stop for a while, and that is exactly right. But 6 blocks away, in a hospital waiting room at Cedars-Sinai, Soraya Keene is sitting in a plastic chair with her brother Darius beside her, and neither one of them is watching the news. 6 months later, the lobby looks exactly the same. Same marble. Same flower arrangement the size of a small tree. Same city pressing against the glass outside. But the 7th bronze plaque on the far wall has been updated, a second line added beneath Elias Rowe's name, in letters the same size as the rest: founding partner. Champion of the people who built this place. The Meridian safety protocols, named quietly, unofficially, after her father, have been adopted by 14 commercial tower operators across Los Angeles. 3 additional OSHA investigations have opened across the district. Marcus Webb, Denise Okonkwo, and Raymond Castillo have each received settlement payments through the safety escrow. Raymond uses part of his to enroll in an electrician certification program. Denise is elected chair of the Building Workers Union chapter she has belonged to for 11 years but never had time to lead. $12,430,000 has been deployed through the Rebuilt Contractor Equity Fund into 22 minority-led construction and facilities businesses across Southern California. 3 of them are run by women. 2 of those women worked night shifts in buildings like this one for years before anyone gave them capital to run their own. Terrence Okafor takes a position in Vale Dynamics Corporate Governance Division. His first request, week 1, is to be assigned as the liaison to the Oversight Board. He is. He shows up to every meeting 10 minutes early and takes notes by hand. Ardyn Vale is not a transformed man. He is not a story of total redemption, because real life does not issue those on a 6-month timeline. But he is a more careful man. A more accountable one. And in the world of commercial real estate and corporate governance, those 2 things matter more than transformation ever did. Soraya's mother's lupus flares have reduced significantly since the medication adjustment in November. Darius passed his finals. And Soraya Keene is still at the front desk. Night shift, mostly. Badge on her collar. Hands folded. Watching the doors. Still listening. On the day Elias Rowe's plaque went up, he held his daughter's hand in the lobby and said something she has carried ever since. They can question your presence. They can doubt your credentials. They can walk past you 1,000 times. But they cannot erase what you know. And they cannot erase what you own. Silence is not surrender. It is preparation. If this story moved something in you, if you have ever been underestimated in a room you earned, if you have ever stayed quiet when staying quiet was the hardest and the bravest thing, drop the words "I belong" in the comments. Because you do. And someone scrolling past your comment right now needs to read it. If Soraya's story is the kind of truth you want more of, stories about people who hold their ground, document everything, and let justice do the heavy lifting, then subscribe to this channel right now and turn on your notifications. Every week, a new story. Every story, a real one. Do not miss what comes next.